Good day. This is Engineer Lomote from Dell Consults. In my previous video, I did talk about concrete, and that was part one. Today's video is part two of our discussion on concrete. And I would like to give a bit recap on what we talked about in our last video. We went through the, the, the steps that will guide us to achieve any strength of concrete that we want. And the steps were one, mix design, two, placement, three, compaction. That's compacting it. Okay, and then the fourth is a curing stage. And we all understood that if we follow these steps accordingly, we will achieve any desired concrete that we want, especially when we get our mix design right, because that is very, 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 very important. It doesn't make the other ones unimportant. They are all important. Okay. Now, today I want us to talk about honeycombs in concrete. But before I start this discussion, I would ask my wonderful viewers to subscribe to this channel so that they don't miss our next videos on other important topic in the built environment or the construction industry. I know we all want to build, and even some people want to go into real estate. It is important you get knowledge on some of these things so that when you are at the top managing things and you are having a discussion with even your clients or technical people, when certain keywords are being used in the discussion, you will not find yourself, I mean, not understanding it. So let's quickly talk about honeycombs. So honeycomb is is more like voids or cavities that we find on the surface of concrete. So when you see concrete, excuse me. So when you see concrete and then the surface is not smooth but has voids or cavities, that is what we call honeycombs. We refer to those voids as honeycombs. That is a technical term for those voids in concrete. And you see, whenever you see such condition, it tells you that the concrete is not of high quality, it's not strong. Because a concrete that is strong has to have a smooth surface. Okay, it should be airtight. You shouldn't see any voids or cavities in the concrete. So this tells us that honeycomb is not a good thing to have on our concrete. So it is important for us to understand what what are some of the things that we do when we are casting concrete that makes the concrete to have some of these conditions. So we would like to discuss the causes of honeycombs in concrete. There are so many causes, so many causes. Okay, so many, especially when you don't have the right technical people. So some clients will say, "Oh, as for concrete, yeah, I don't need an engineer on the site. Oh, as for concrete, the boys they can do it. We don't need any technical person on the site." These are some of the courses. So I'm going to run us through the main courses of honeycombs in concrete. But bear it in mind that when you have honeycombs in your concrete, it tells you that your concrete is not strong. All right. So number one, improper compaction. So in our previous video, I told you that after you have placed your concrete in the formwork, you have to use a poker vibrator to compact the concrete. So it's like you want to form, you are using clay to form something, and you want to put the clay in the mold. Okay, when you put the clay in the mold, you have to compact the clay so that it settles very well in the mold. That is that is what we are talking about. So picture the concrete here as clay that you want to put it in a mold. Okay, so when you put it in a mold, you have to compact it by using the right tool, which is poker vibrator. Okay, so improper compaction will cause honeycombs. The second thing is poor mix design. If you have the water, if you have incorrect water cement ratio, okay, either too high or too low affect the flowability and cohesion of the concrete. So if your water to cement ratio is not really balanced, it can affect the flowability and then the cohesion of the concrete. So you see that if you don't have enough water in the concrete cannot flow. So the concrete will be stiff or will be dry. So you see that when you compact, even if you compact it, still you still have some pauses. Or let's say if your aggregate, your fine aggregate and concourse aggregate, if the fine aggregate is too much, that's the sand. If it is too much, it will affect the strength of the concrete. If it is too low, it will also affect the strength of the concrete. So you have to get a proper mix design. The same way, if your coarse aggregate, which is a stone, if it is too much, it will make, I mean, you after compacting and whatever, you still see pulses when the concrete dries. So it is very, 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 very important to have the right make design. Another cause is improper placement. I said it. If you are placing the concrete and you don't place it very well, let's say your form work is down and you are placing the concrete, um, I mean, a distance above the formwork. Let's say about a meter above the formwork, because the concrete is a mixture of stones and sand. As you are pouring it, it can vibrate the formwork. It can shake the formwork. So it will make the formwork either open. It will open the formwork or it will lose the formwork, and then the concrete will not be molded well. So even if you compact it very well, you still see that the honeycombs will be formed on the side. Another thing that we also have to look at is conjunction of reinforcement. If, let's say, a typical example, if your pillar or your column, you have a lot of reinforcement in it. Let's say you are doing um, 200 by 200, okay, and then your reinforcement is plenty. Or let us say, let's use a retaining wall. You are doing a retaining wall of thickness 150, and then your your reinforcement is congested. When you pour the concrete, and even the coarse aggregate, if it's not of a particular size, you will realize that when the concrete dries up, you will still find honeycombs in the concrete. So conjunction of reinforcement is also a cause. And inadequate formwork. So, for example, if you have a leaky or poorly poorly sealed or misaligned formwork. If you have a misaligned formwork, you have poorly sealed formwork, you have a leaky formwork, it can also affect the hair tight of the concrete. So you remove the formwork, you realize that the surface is not smooth. It has pores. Remember, I told you that um, honeycomb is pores or voids or cavity in the concrete, which is visible to the eyes. And that tells you that the concrete is not of good strength. The concrete is not of high quality. So, for us to avoid some of these things, you have to get an engineer on the site who will ensure that all these things are what are followed. All the steps. Remember the steps: mix design, placement, compaction, and curing. Concrete is very very expensive. Let's say you are casting a floor, a suspended floor, which is very expensive. You don't want to, I mean, finish casting it after the concrete dries up. You realize that, oh, the strength is very poor. You don't want a situation like that. So to avoid some of these things, you have to engage a technical person, a structural engineer, to look at, to handle your project for you, so that some of these mistakes will not even show up, or to avoid some of these things. Remember, this is Dell Consult, and kindly subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss part 3 of our discussion. Thank you, my wonderful viewers.